Welcome to the OTA podcast where we discuss everything performance training. I'm Coach Chris Barnard. Let's get into it. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the OTA podcast. I'm your host, Chris Barnard. And for today's video, what I want to address is retaining your athletes after summer and when school starts. So right now, we're in the heat of summer. A lot of our youth, high school, professional athletes are in the building. Usually what we see for high school and youth, soon as school starts, most performance coaches have a huge drop off. And what I wanted to be able to do is kind of point you in the right direction as far as things that we've done where we've had actual really good success to be able to retain those clients year round and be able to continue to get results with these athletes, but also be able to keep a level of consistency within the revenue within our gym. So if you're a coach that has experienced this, just want to kind of give you some key points. So number one, you have to be able to, and I'll just start from a big picture, you have to shift your clients, right, and your clients' parents' paradigm as far as how they look at their development. We've been fortunate enough to take some athletes from the youth high school level all the way up to the professional level. So we've been able to kind of leverage their approach to training to be able to say, hey, here's what these guys did and here's what you need to do. However, from an educational standpoint and from a development standpoint, we as coaches understand the value of, even if it's 1 day to 2 days per week and maybe doing another day at home, you can't just stop once school starts or once their season starts. You can't yo-yo your way through your development, and it's just a matter of being able to educate them. So what I like to do is I like to what we call assumptive close. So I start assuming, right, in all of my communication towards the parent or client or athlete is assuming that they're on now that they've started, even if they've started in the beginning of the summer, I'm assuming that they understand the level of long-term development. So once I capture that athlete, once I've built rapport and I've captured what that athlete's burning desire, what their overall hairy audacious goal is, right? Like, I want to make it to the pros, I want to make it to college, I want to start, or whatever that thing is, I utilize that to continue to anchor them of like, hey, if this is where we want to go, this is what we need to, this is the track, this is the trajectory that we need to stay on. So immediately upon them entering, I start to educate them on long-term development. And that's the biggest thing that you, just from a paradigm shift, is like, you have to assume that they're there for long-term development, and all of your communication, all of your talking, anytime that you get an opportunity to talk about the results, talk about their long-term results, talk about their long-term plans, it needs to be, hey, we're in this for the long haul to be able to essentially be able to reach the overall big goal that we set out to have. Now we have our immediate goals, which is, this is what we want to do this summer, right? This is the conversations we have, but it's always tied back to like, I believe in you and this is where we want to go. And if you're a coach and you know, and you're coming from a pure perspective, it's not a salesy thing. It's more or less just like, hey, I understand what it takes to take an athlete from 9th grade up to the professional level because I've done it before. This is what that looks like. It's not a, hey, come in during your off season, leave for 3 months, don't do anything, and then come back. And mind you, we remind them that, like, especially in high school, they're going to college next year or 2 years. Like, they're going to have to do this already. And so we explain to the parent that, like, contrary to what some of the parents believe, the misconception is that when they start school, their grades are going to kind of drop and things like that. And we actually say, because we've seen this, is it's actually the inverse. So because they're more disciplined, because they're more consistent, and because they have to be more arduous about their schedule as far as like being on point with it, they actually improve in the classroom and they continue to see those improvements in their performance as well. So we just have a series of objections. Now, the next thing that I'm going to be able to kind of explain to you is after you've gotten your results from the summer, which you should be testing and retesting, and the assumption is that you've essentially gotten that athlete better, whatever be your target metrics, your speed, power, strength, whatever those things are. What's up, coaches? Real quickly, let me go ahead and introduce you to Performance Coach U Certification. Now, this is the certification / course that I put together for coaches who want to train athletes and not only get results, but also maximize profits in the private sector. The problem that I saw with a lot of these courses and certifications out there for coaches was that they provided a lot of information and not a lot of application. So I wanted to pull back the covers over 10 plus years of experience and show you the ins and outs of actually being in the trenches so that you get maximum results while also scaling your business. So if you're interested in this, go ahead and check out the link down below and you can get more information. It just comes down to a simple conversation. It's like, you know, we've started here, right? We've gotten to here. This is the trajectory we've had. We don't want to slow this down. So you want to actually script out a message based on that same conversation I had, and you want to have that conversation at the end of your sit down, which would be your exit, and then basically be able to explain to them to stay on throughout the season. And the easiest way when they're uneasy about this is just being able to get them to commit to the first month. Hey, let's just commit to the first month, even if it's at a reduced rate and a reduced amount of sessions. And what we'll do is we'll see how this goes, and then we'll go from there. And if it works out great, we'll just continue on if we have some issues. And then during that time, you need to retrain your client to be a good client, right? Now that they're in season. So it's no different than how they started off as your first client during your summer. It's just now you have to train them how to be a good client, right? Which is going to overall get them better results, and it's overall going to continue to keep you in business. So everything works hand in hand in the performance industry, right? So like I said, we shift the paradigm. Number 2, have an in-season sales script ready to go right when you exit on their goals. Number 3, which I touched on in number 2, is you have to be fluid with the amount of sessions that they can commit to, and then also fluid with your rate. We try to keep them on the same rate and tell them that we're going to provide services outside of the sessions that they can meet. However, if you're uncomfortable and you feel like you're not a good salesperson, you're a better coach, then it's just a matter of being fluid with that. So it's like if you were training 4 days a week and you go down to 1, it could be a hard conversation. You could tell them that it's like a matter of being able to fit those things in, and you have to be able to prop up more value to keep them on the same rate. But what I tell some coaches in our coaching group is don't be afraid to just reduce and be fluid with that rate if you're overcoming objections, because although it might be nice getting paid $500 a month or whatever it is you get paid per month per athlete, on the flip side, you know, $100 or $200 a month is better than 0. So if they're coming in 1 to 2 times and they reduce down from 4 or 5, like you got to put pride aside. And if it's like at the breaking point, you just got to be fluid with your prices and realize that their commitment level, you know, you can't scare them away with 4 or 5 times a week. Not every parent, not every athlete is going to be like that. But it's, you know, again, it takes that assumption that they're going to be doing some level of training. So even if you reduce it, make sure that you're okay with being fluid with your rate. All right, so last but not least is basically being able to continue to capture their metrics as they go through the season. So this has been one of the bigger things that we've done in, again, coaching athletes on in-season training. We actually gather metrics, like for instance, we have force plates. So we gather their metrics on their force plates. Every 60 days to 90 days, we retest on the off season to kind of see their results. On in-season, it shifts as a coach, and it's us being able to maintain a level that where they're trying to be at. So we want to maintain or grow, right? We want to stay on that trajectory. So us constantly having that constant feedback loop with our metrics allows us to have retention on a real-time basis. So even if they're coming in once a week and we quickly have those force plates or get them on a jump mat or have them testing on a 10 time, we're able to really quickly capture that metric, be able to communicate to them what's going on, where they're at. They're able to maintain their power. They're able to maintain their strength. They're able to maintain, you know, a certain level. And that's part of the education process through that paradigm shift that I described in one, where it's like, hey, not only are we reducing injury, but we're also maintaining the speed and power so that when you get to the playoffs, you get later on in the season, you're being able to operate at the same speed, power, and strength that you came into the season with. So you're able to remain the same player, the same physicality, the same performance. So I would say that being able to capture metrics on a weekly basis and be able to communicate it to your athlete and to your parent to keep them on board as you go through the season, because there's going to be bumps along the way. And you have to understand that the first bump, the first test that's difficult for the athlete, the first time that it's tough for the athlete to like make it in, or they have like a full boat schedule, is going to be the first instance that the parent has like a aha, I told you so, this is going to be too much to handle. And so the way that you kind of come across and be able to have an objection to that is to be able to continue to point at the data and be able to say, hey, that's fine this week, this is what it is, we'll make it up another week, but here we're able to continue to maintain what we've built, whereas we see other athletes start to decline at this time. So it's very important for you to continue to collect data on a weekly, if not bi-weekly basis. So there you have it, guys, just kind of specific principles. Now there's a nuance to all these principles and there's specific systems. If you're interested, we actually have a whole course on this. You can check out the link down below. But the biggest thing is like you have to have a system on each of these 4 principles to be able to make sure that you're dialed in and being able to do them. So you know, take what you want from it, but you should be executing on all 4 of those when school starts or in season to be able to maintain consistency in your business year round for the full 12 months. So you're not yo-yoing with your revenue and they're not yo-yoing with their results. So I hope that helps, guys, and I'll talk to you guys next time.